Tattooed Brew here. Currently I'm rolling down the road from Hagerstown, heading towards Frederick. Going to be doing a brewery tour with actually a couple of assistant brewers from Flying Dog. The head brewer was kind of out of town today, and he actually emailed me and said that he's up in another state here to do an install. So he was not going to be around, but asked me if I still wanted to come by, and he would have a couple of the guys give me a tour by myself. I don't think that they actually had a tour going on today, but since I actually contacted him, he was like, I will certainly make sure that this happens for you. So I was certainly very humbled by that. So hopefully we'll have a good tour going on. And hopefully I'll be able to. He did say that I would be able to actually bring in a video camera, but there were certain areas that they didn't want me to video, so I was pretty okay with that. So hopefully we'll have some of this up on the site, which is going to be the Tattooed Brew site, but also the Brew Club site, societyoffermentation.com. So stay tuned, and we'll see. I have actually been to this brewery before and had a tour before, so it's a very nice facility. It's a good medium-sized facility. They've got a lot going on, so should be very informative. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you when I'm in the brewery. Tattooed Brew here. I'm here at Flying Dog. Finally made it in. It's going to take a little stroll around the building here and check out, see what's going on. It does appear that they've got some hops growing in this area over in a corner. I was going to go and check those out here in just a moment, which is kind of a nifty thing. I always like to see the breweries utilizing local goods, etc. That's always, I think, really responsible as far as the brewery. Here's just a corner I'm going to show to you. Got the logo. Very nice facility for a medium-sized brewery. I'm not exactly sure what this big wooden area is, but it's certainly kind of neat. I don't know if they actually have a fermenter in there, or if that's where they keep some grain at, or whatever. It's a pretty neat looking area, though. I'm gonna move around to the. So I'm not exactly sure what type of hops that they got going on here. It does kind of look like they're in kind of like some beginning stages, and I almost think that although it's a pretty nice looking system, I would probably say that it could be going a little bit better than it is. I would like to see like a trellis system that goes up and down, kind of like what I've done at my house, but because I don't really think there's much going on here, but it's nonetheless very impressive. So here's the hops going on right now. Again, I don't know if it's just the drought, but that one's a little burnt up. And these right here are pretty much about to be burned up. Or this, that's awful fun. So, but with the poles here, they've certainly done a good job. And I don't know how long that they've had them planted. So maybe in the next few years they'll do a little better than they're doing right now. So, okay, I'm here in the brew facility with Brian Arnold. He's going to give us a tour today. Cool, man. Now, are you the brewer's assistant?
I am the most experienced brewer we have, besides our head brewer and our VP of brewing operations in our brewery. So I've been with this company now for 6 years.
Is this the only? Have you brewed other places?
This will be the only place I've brewed professionally.
Okay.
So
cool.
I've been here 6 years. We do a rotational shift where all of our brewers. This is Squirrel. He's going to be joining us on the tour too.
Squirrel, how you doing? John.
John,
Nice to meet you.
Just craned out my glasses today, so I can't really see you.
Okay. That's always a good thing.
Yeah, we do a rotational shift here where all of our brewers, cellarmen, and filtration ops kind of rotate from partner to partner just to get cross-training down in case we need any gaps in vacation time or in case somebody gets tired to let go.
Okay. So you said we've got a 50 barrel system that we're working on today.
Up here at our brew house, we have a 2-vessel 50-barrel brew system. 50 barrels, in case you don't know, are a half keg is the big full kind of party kegs. That's a half barrel. So
right.
We do about 100 kegs. We do all that in about 3.5 hours, depending on the brew that we're brewing. Larger brews, we do what we call a double mash, which is we collect half the sugars from a full mash mixer of grain, and then we collect the second half to get it up to the actual sugar content we want and up there.
Right.
You notice up here, we got 4 vessels right here, starting off with your mash mixer. Your mash mixer is where you mix your grist, which is crushed up grain at that point, with water to form a mash. Basically, inside your mash, you're going to start an inherent enzymatic reaction in the grain. The grain is then going to break down the longer sugar chains and the smaller sugar chains called dextrin. So that's kind of the job of our wort producers, is to control the amount of fermentable sugars left in the wort that we actually produce. Controlling the temperature of your mash will release different amylase to break down.
You do a
sugar.
step mash?
We don't actually do a step mash. We have the luxury of, most brewers nowadays have the luxury of dealing with maltsters. So all of our malt comes in pre-ready, so we don't really have to do step mashes for protein breakdown or any more like this. We basically just nail in the temperature to break down the sugar chains into the desired dextrin size for the edible yeast.
How long does it take you to, once you get that in the mash tun, to get your sugars where you need it?
We do a 45-minute rest for most of our beers. Some of our beers we do a little bit longer if we're trying to break down the sugar chains into smaller dextrins at a lower temperature.
Yeah.
45 minutes is the average rest time through here.
Okay.
Lots of people will then do what they call a mash out temperature. The mash out temperature is just a stop enzymatic reaction. A lot of our beers don't go through that process due to the fact that after 45 minutes, all enzymatic reactions have pretty much completed and stopped at that point.
Yeah.
Although it's still pretty traditional throughout most breweries to do a mash out process. So that all happens in the big guy right there. It then drops down to the lauter tun, and in that lauter tun, we'll actually rotate the wort back through the grain, using the grain bed as a natural filter to kind of to pull out a lot of the proteins in the haze that might come across in there. Any type of haze or protein that can be left is going to degrade a lot faster, scuffing your beer a lot rapidly. So this clean, clear wort is a great production value. It can increase the life of your beer, 3-4 times as far as you get across.
Okay.
So we'll kind of rotate that across, and then once we have a nice clear wort, we'll start moving it into either one of these 2 kettles. We have 2 kettles just basically to speed up the process. Once one kettle is full to boil, it takes about an hour and a half. So during that hour and a half, we'll kick out the rest of the grain. We'll already have another mash resting, and then we'll drop that next mash, start running off of that kettle to kind of increase efficiency so we don't have to lose any time. That's the 2 kettles. Once we start running off, we're going to go through a process called sparging, which is just a way of batching in water on top of your wort, kind of a way to finish the extraction of the grain throughout the lautering process. And then also we're going to dilute down the wort to the specific gravity or sugar content that we want when we actually pitch it into the vessel.
All right.
So if you want to come over here, we can give like a quick look at what's going on.
Hops. That's a lot of hops right there.
Just kind of be careful for Danny, make sure we don't get in his way here.
All right.
I'm thinking almost a filter. So now we got, this is actually the end of a batch here. This is after we've extracted all the water we want, our wort from that point, and we're actually graining it out into a big silo outside, which a farmer comes and picks up and uses for feed grain for his cows.
They love it.
Yeah, they love that crap. So this is just kind of, as you can see, the bed will kind of recirculate over into here, and it travels over into these kettles. And we've got half of a beer in here so far. We're doing a double mash, so this will be the first half of a double dog.
Okay.
And if you come over here too, we'll show you quickly where all the grain silos are. So these are all our grain silos right through here. This is where we use the majority of our bulk malt. We keep Pale 2-row malt, Von Munich, which is also kind of a pale malt, and we keep a one coloring malt 60 in the silo. The big blue one right there is for the spent grain. That's where all the grain's going right now. So the farmer just pulls right up.
Yeah, pulls right up.
There,
yeah.
And takes it over to the thing.
Awesome.
As you can see over here, these are all malts too. Excuse me. These are all of our other specialty malts used for many things.
Adjuncts.
Yeah, well, we don't really use any adjuncts in any of our brew process. A lot of these are darker coloring malts, black, chocolate, roasted barley. We have a lot of rye down there. We use a lot of rye in our pale ales. Some midnight wheat. All these are caramel malts in different Lowenbonds. So we got 60, 80, 20 caramel, just in case we want to, have an orange beer or a brown beer.
Okay.
And then we also carry some select other malts for specialty beers. Cara Vienna, Cara Pilsner for body, and then some flake malts for head retention and also body feel of the beer. This is just where we keep it all. These are our HLTs and our CLTs. We actually have a process called a heat exchanger. So once we actually go from our hot wort to our cooling it down to our fermentation temperature, the water actually cools the wort and heats itself up going back into the HLTs. I'll give you a more defined explanation of that as we go down.
All right.
And actually, if you hurry upstairs, we can get a quick look at this mash too. In here we actually have a mash resting right now.
Oh, nice.
Which is actually a rare occasion because it's only resting here for about 45 minutes, so this only happens about 6 times a day. This is actually the rest of a double dog, so it's a little thick in there. Trying to get lots of sugar out of that.
Right. Double dog being
it's a double pale ale, so it's
kind of like an imperial.
Like an imperial pale ale. Starting with Plato is 24 degrees Plato, which is about the max you can get from just grain alone.
Right. So do you guys ever add anything other than grain for sugar content?
For sugar content, we do a lot. They're more on our specialty beers. For possible sugar content, we use a lot of maple syrup. We've used honey before.
Right.
And then we've also used molasses. Now those are more for our specialty beers. Those are really simple sugars. So those will be eaten by your yeast first, and they tend to dry your beer a little bit more if you use them as a significant sugar. But none of our traditional recipes or our main pack recipes have any of those in there.
Okay.
Once we get it over here to boil, it's going to go through anywhere from an hour and a half to a 2-hour boil. There's going to be several things that happen during that boil. There's going to be a reduction in pH. There's going to be a reduction in water, which is going to be an increase of your sugar contents.
Yeah.
You're going to get a sterilization, and then that's when we're going to start adding any specialty ingredients for flavoring. You're going to get your hops in there, of course. Now, hops at the earlier side of your brewing are going to be more for your bittering, and then you get more of a flavor aroma towards the end of your process.
Right.
The longer the hops are in your wort, the more isomerization of the alpha acids are going to be in there, and that's going to be your direct lead to your IBU rating or your international bitterness rating. Okay. During this time, we'll also add, if we're doing like a wit or something, we'll throw your orange peel, your coriander, any of our spices, and of course, for our international arms race, which is 100% brewed beer, which means no hops were added into it. We've used everything from heather flower to juniper berries. So any of the flavoring ingredients come down here.
Yeah.
Now, all this process takes about 3.5 hours from what we call mashing to the whirlpool down there, and we try to do this about 6 to 8 times during a daily period. We run 24/6 though, so we don't stop except for on Saturdays and Sundays to clean stuff up.
Cool.
So we'll go ahead and head down to the charcoal filter right here to treat all the water that comes in here. Of course, not all the water we come in is from Frederick. We come from 3 different sources.
Right.
So to make sure we have the solid pH and clarity of our water,
Do a lot of
through both the charcoal and.
Do you do additives sometimes?
Not really due to the fact that we have the charcoal and UV filter.
Okay.
There has been a couple beers where we kind of wanted to change the acidity of the mash profile, and then we'll add some acidulated malt for that.
Okay.
But for the most part, we don't really change any of our water other than right there at the charcoal and UV filter.
Very nice. This is where all the work happens down on this level.
Well, yeah, this is where it gets dirty and dry. Here's a little bit more pictured look of all our specialty malts. These are just our malts. We like to say if we're painting a picture with each beer, the canvas is the two-row, and these malts are kind of just like the colorings and accents to kind of make the picture more complete.
Yeah.
Anything that we use in small amounts, anywhere from 5 to 10%, say right down here. We do use a lot of the 60 coloring malt, which is used in our Raging Bitch, Snake Dog as our main coloring malt. So we keep an entire silo of that out there.
Okay.
Which is why we have this lovely scale right here. The scale is a very accurate silo scale to make sure that we get within 1 or 2 pounds of our coloring malt. You never want to go over on your coloring malt. It's too hard to balance it out.
Yeah.
This is our specialty mill for any of the specialty malts that you see around here.
Jay, you got to get yourself one of these things, man. Oh yeah.
And then this is another little Firkin corner. Firkins are real ale. They're bottle conditioned or bottle carbonated, primary sugar and yeast, and then they're served at a slightly warmer temperature. This is to get rid of any of the carbonation or just coolness from the beer that you would that would block some of your traditional flavors. Kind of brings out a little more hop characteristics. Really huge over in Europe and England.
Oh, yeah.
And starting to really make a big step in the
Firkins are getting more popular here. Most people are like, "What's a Firkin?" But yeah, I do like. Usually, whenever I see one on tap, I'll at least hit it once.
You might as well try it because it gives us a lovely chance to kind of augment our beer slightly.
Yeah.
We'll take those Firkins, fill it up with your traditional Bitch, Snake, any of our beers, and then we'll do some dry hopping on there. A lot of time with cold flower hops, a lot of them grown right out front in our state hops.
Right.
And then we can add anything from star anise, which is like a licorice flavor, to lemongrass. That'll give you that nice lemony kind of citrus flavor. So it's really good and key to try a Firkin if you can. Somebody's probably put a little bit of time in there.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
This is just our CIP system for all of our cellar operations. When we go in the cellar, cleanliness is like close to godliness in there. So
Absolutely, that's the first thing that we teach in our as far as our brew club. It's like whatever you're doing, as long as you're being sanitized and all that. That's the absolutely first thing that you got to learn.
The number one problem I have whenever judging beers is just finding a clean beer.
Yeah.
A lot of times beers win medal because they're just the only clean beer that's around. So here we got our fermentation hall. We have 5 bays of 8 tanks and a couple small ones, leaving us with 44 tanks in here. Most of them around the 200 barrel size.
Nice.
So obviously,
Oh yeah.
these are our small bays.
Small tanks.
200s over here.
Bigger tank.
And if you go back here, you'll see it goes down to 5 bays deep.
200. How long do they sit in some of these?
The tank times for our normal beers are 21 days. Beers like our Marzen right here stays in these things for about 45 days. But on average, about 25-day tank times is about what we use, unless we're doing a lager beer, which gets a lager in condition, much like our Marzen right here.
Yeah.
So after they get sent in from the whirlpool there, we'll cool it down to its fermentation temperature. That whirlpool can dial into pretty much any temperature. You send it in here using a wort line system. You can actually kind of see this is for the wort line for the filter, but same setup, runs through the little pipe work over to a swing leak, takes it in and out of the fermentation hall here, And after we get the first send in, we'll pitch in the yeast. All these tanks, as you can see, are closed-top fermentation vessels. And when the yeast starts eating the sugar, it's going to produce two byproducts, alcohol and CO2. So you can see a lot of these tanks have sanitary blow-off buckets next to them.
Yep.
This is
that's some fresh. That's coming off right there, fresh like.
Yep. You just got some sandy water here, which is a mild sanitizer, acid-based sanitizer used to just make sure none of the gunk gets in here.
Yep.
And then all the CO2 vents off so nobody explodes in the long run. You can kind of come back through here, we'll show you the depth of it.
Now, is that a
This is our hop back right
hop
here.
back?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this we use very rarely. We use it pretty much once a year for our harvest ale called the Secret Stash. And basically, it's just like a big hop filter. You fill it full with hops, and then right before your heat exchanger, you run your hot wort through there. And it gets a little bit of isomerization due to the hot wort, but it's mostly like a dry hop basically. Just gives you like a nice full flavor. It's kind of a different flavor than you might get from just dry hopping due to the slight amount of isomerization. These are just small grundies we use for measuring and stuff.
Cool.
So as you can see the depth of our fermentation ball here.
He's doing firkins right now.
This is Ryan Jurgen.
How you doing, brother?
How you
One of
doing?
our-
You're on film. How you doing? Nice to meet you.
My hands are
That's
sticky.
all right.
Let me get it
All right.
down next.
All right.
This is one of our most senior brewers as well, filling up plenty of firkins here.
Wow, he's doing one of them real impressive wooden ones.
This is a really
This is brand new, man.
I've
We
never
just got
seen
this.
him. We just got that wood one in, so it's gonna be a new one.
Look at that one over there, dude.
Yeah, that one right there.
That's doing some live
That's
stuff right there.
primary fermentation. As you can see, the crowds are starting to come out of the tank there.
Nice.
Our head brewer, Ben Clark, is mostly in charge of cutting back the recipes in case something like that happens. So it's always a fine-tuned process.
So that's not supposed to happen, all right?
Well, it's not a bad thing, but
It makes a big mess.
Right,
It sucks
yeah,
to clean
yeah.
it
it
up.
sucks for
Trust me.
wastewater. They're always
Right.
worried about what's going down the drain here.
Yeah.
So when something like that happens, it's not the best for wastewater. You come down here, we'll check out the rest of the brewery here. This is our parts rack where we get all of our lovely
Look,
parts.
Jay, stainless steel. You'll love it.
Yeah. Everything's stainless. Stainless is key.
How you doing?
Steve.
How you doing?
Steve
John.
Smithman.
Nice to meet you.
This is a brand new employee right
How
here.
you doing, the newbie? All right. He's gonna be doing all the dirty stuff. Dude, I think I've totally seen that tattoo before.
Oh yeah, the hot bomb.
Yes.
Shit, have you
Where have you posted that on? Have you posted that online?
My tattoo artist, it's a recreation of the Brewing Network logo.
Okay. All right.
It's just much cooler.
There you go.
There's some of the smaller tanks that you can see. There's a 50-barrel tank right there.
Okay.
And that's just kind of for one-offs or small batches that we might do. Alright, some more hoses. This is a bucket list. We do get on top of these tanks every time.
For dusting.
Well, every
Yeah.
time they get clean, they have a spray ball, there's a dry hopping port. So we get on top of these tanks pretty much every time
That's
we
cool.
get clean. So it's quite the fun job. It's very active, very dirty, and I hope you're not scared of heights.
Oh no.
We're not going to take you out for safety reasons. I wish we could. We'll go back and here's the wort line for actually the bottom of the tank, as you can see going into the bottom. So the one we saw before was a filter line. This is actually from the wort line for the wort from the brew house. We'll skip this area for a second. We'll go back to this. This is our lab, or QA lab. Basically, they just get drunk in there all day.
See, look, quality assurance, guys. Yeah. And there's the coolest thing ever because it has flames.
Yeah, I can see all this.
All right.
Yeah, my buddy Jay would love all these all those Thank you. Good to meet you, buddy.
And this is also this is just our incubators and fridges. So this is where we force incubate stuff back there in the incubator, just to make sure nothing's nasty is growing on our tanks. Make
Oh,
sure
yeah.
no sear, no
Yeah.
beer. Refrigerator is just for storing samples as we come along. And then, like I said, Got an autoclave back there to clean up some of our sterile materials.
Yeah, my buddy Jay's got a few nice stir plates like that over there. They certainly get the yeast going where they need to go.
Yeah, we use those for what we call forced attenuation. Just to you put the yeast, expect around the yeast in there, and then we attenuate it out to make sure that we're going to get the same attenuation in our cake.
Okay.
So this is our first step of our filtration process right here. First step of our filtration process we use is the DE filter, which stands for diatomaceous earth, although we don't really use diatomaceous earth in this process. We use PVPP and silica, and then we use a perlite substance.
Okay.
Come in here.
Is that the volcanic ash stuff?
That's what diatomaceous earth is. Diatomaceous earth is actually like small solidified fossils that go in there. It's really kind of expensive. It was really accessible like the 70s and 80s, and now it's almost gone. So most people use a substitute called perlite.
Okay, cool. I've never experienced anything like this.
Yeah, so you can come in here and just check it out. There's several screens in here. He's setting his cakes right now. There's several screens in there that will hold a cake of the perlite. And basically the beer just gets ran through each one of those cakes, picking up any large yeast particles or any kind of true that might be in there until we get the final product, which is that right there.
So guys, it goes from that yeasty to that, which is clear. That's nice.
And this is just the first step of our filtration process. We actually go through the second set, which I'm going to show you now. That device is pretty self-sustainable. You kind of hook it up and you just got to kind of dose DE in there every 45 minutes.
Okay.
So a lot of the filtration guys will do a lot of the Firkin work. There's the chemical room.
You got to wear the boots in there, guys.
Yeah, boots, gloves, and glasses.
And glasses.
So here we'll take you into the bright tank room.
The holding tanks.
So this is right after we put the bottom of the crown.
I'll go somewhere else.
So this is our bright tank room, very tight. This is where the beer gets stored right before it gets bottled. It's here for maybe about 2 days for lab check, and then it's put right into the filler. So these tanks are just briefly used just for clean, fresh, ready to produce beer. That's our big boy, 400 barrels in there, guys. 400 barrels.
This is where I remember as far as the filtration system last time.
Yeah, this is probably
that was it right there.
So this is the second half of our filtration system right here. This is what you call a sheet filter. This is just basically a series of micron sheets that the beer goes through at the last minute to pick up any cellular level yeast that might be still around, or really just any kind of nastiness that we don't want to get out. This is right before the bright tank room. The beer comes from the DE filter where it was that nice clean pitcher.
Yeah.
And just put through here to make sure everything's sanitary. So we have a couple beers that are considered unfiltered. When they're considered unfiltered, they come through the DE process, but they don't go through the sheet filter.
Okay.
That'll leave a slight haze in there for any kind of yeast that you might
Like
want
a
in there.
like a heavy Weizen,
Hefeweizen.
or maybe even a wit beer.
Wit beers, definitely direct transfer. I got a phone. Alright. We'll get out of here real quick before this, because it's about to foam. So briefly, this is our Crohn's filler. It's a 36 head counter pressure filler that runs at 300 bottles a minute.
It's the bottle. There's no bottles on the line right now.
It just got done today. This is Tim here. Tim's about to give this a nice good scrubbing and cleaning.
Right before it gets all pretty.
Right here, hard to see, this is considered a follower. So that is a stream of hot air and CO2 that gets pushed into your bottles right before you cap them. That'll actually, get out of here before you start. That'll actually give you, force all the oxygen out of your bottles and then cap directly on foam.
Right.
To make sure there's no oxygen in your beer. And that'll increase the shelf life of your beer upwards of 6 months.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, they were talking about that at another brewery.
all the bottles come down through there once they've been filled and capped. And through this lovely device right here, this is our labeler. It runs a little bit faster, 350 bottles a minute. Basically, it's being broke down now to be clean. But these lovely pads right here get a glue applied to them via this glue wheel. Then they pick up a label before they get placed on a picker system here and then pressed onto the bottle. After that, they get ran through a series of brushes just to make sure that the label is kind of intact and placed on there well. And right beforehand, they go through that lovely thing right there, which is a bottle dryer, just because it's hard to glue anything to a wet surface.
So you don't use sticky back labels?
Nope, we do
Thank
not
you.
use sticky
Thank
back
you
labels.
very much.
We use full glue.
Full glue.
Yep.
Because then you can, if you want a label, you can take a label off.
You can take our labels off. Yeah.
Yes.
This is our wrapper. Brand new system we just got here. It's really convenient and nice. Runs up through here, gets flipped and cleaned, purged and filled. And then they even got this lovely arm over here, which is a suction arm, which allows them to lift kegs with pretty much one hand.
Oh, nice.
So they have a pretty
This
nice...
this is a kegger, huh?
Yep, this is our wrapper.
I mean, yeah, they were. I guess. How long does it take to keg one, or to clean it and keg it?
To clean and keg one is about 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay.
3 minutes. So we do anywhere from 120 half barrels upwards of 300 sixels a day in this room.
That's awesome.
With one guy, one shift. So
Sweet.
we get it done pretty well in here. We'll go out and finish the rest of the bottling line here. So this is where it all kinds of...
There it is. Walls and walls of Flying Dog, folks, ready to go out to
All
your
these are ready to
distributors.
go out. The beer sits here for roughly 1 day at the most before it gets packaged. A lot of these beers are probably either getting moved in and out for rotational purposes or will be shipped off tomorrow.
Here's our mascot.
That's the mascot. She traveled with us all the way from Denver. You can see a couple of our local brewing medals hanging from her. This is where we do our V-Pack. It's shut down right now, but this is like our new variety pack that'll be coming up, the Shock and Awe variety pack.
That's awesome.
You can get a lot of our pale ales there. I think you get Raging Bitch, Snake Dog, Wildeman, and Doggy Style in there. So kind of our pale ale 6-pack that we got going on.
So now, have you ever named any of these beers?
Well, the Raging Bitch is a collective brewery name. They actually did our Belgian pale ale, and we didn't know exactly what we were going to name it. So we kind of let it out on a sheet of paper, and through a voting process and some creative naming, we actually got the name Raging Bitch. So, but as far as me personally naming them, we do a Brewhouse Rarity series, which is kind of released locally here in DC, which allows our brewers to craft a beer from beginning to end. I did the first one this January, which was at our Imperial Hefeweizen, and I got to name it, create it, write it, do whatever I want.
That's awesome.
So this is the innards of our bottling line here. This is a glass depalletizer. It actually has that pallet of glass right there. We stack them up in threes, and they get shifted down, and then this thing takes them off one layer at a time before they get funneled down and put into the filler room. Right before they go into the filler room, they go through a little twist rinse to clean the bottles, and then the bottles, before they get filled, get vacuum sealed. I couldn't show you all that because Tim was in there cleaning.
Yeah, sorry.
So this is our box erector, case erector. It's a series of suction cups and glue. Basically, a stack of cases get stacked here, and this thing pulls it down, sucks it back up, seals it up the bottom, and then it gets shipped onto a conveyor belt. This is a 6-pack erector, same thing. These two little suction cups basically suck open your 6-pack, and this little kicking arm kicks it open and latches it right on there. They shoot down alternating path till they get mixed in down here. Over here on the other side of your glass, we have a 6-pack stuffer.
A 6-pack stuffer.
Okay. Right here, 6-packs get pushed in and down into the case right there before they get traveled down where they meet the bottles. Inside of the line, the bottles come out of the label here, followed by the carton erector here. And it goes into this lovely new machine, which is actually new and very nice. This is called a Harkness. What's up there, John? We got a packing. Basically, the boxes come up, they get shifted right in here. And as you can see, these 12 or 24 little fingers right there, each individually line in a whole 6-pack and drop a bottle right in there.
Awesome.
It comes back around and gets sealed in our case sealer. Hot glue right on top of there, right before it gets date coded and labeled by these two coders right here.
Date coded. This is our born on date machines right here.
Yeah, we use a style of coding called Julian style date coding. which is basically an expiration date. You look at it, it'll give you 3 numbers followed by 2 letters and then 2 more numbers. The first 3 numbers correspond to the day and the year. So if you had a beer that was 123 FX 12, that means that that beer would taste as good as we would like it to taste till the 123rd day of the year 2012. So it's a little bit complicated. You got to think it over a little bit more, but you get it. A couple of our bottles will say vintage and then have a year next to it. Those bottles are vintageable and you can keep them for several years in a cellarable spot.
That was my actually next question. What beers do you say these are our vintage brews?
So any of our high gravity beers, one of the biggest preservatives in beer will be alcohol. So you get a really high ratio of high gravity beers. Double Dogs, cellarable. Gonzo, cellarable. Any of our single hops are cellarable.
10%. I just have a Citra. It's quite empty now.
We'll work on fixing that.
Okay.
And then one of the things that sort of separates this from a smaller brewery is this big monstrosity over here, which is actually our palletizer. I've worked at only this brewery, but I've been with several of my friends who work at breweries, and I actually came from the original brewery in Denver, Colorado, where we used to have one guy stack by hand pallets and pallets of beer. So this lovely machine takes all the ease, all the weight out of it, stacks it nicely for you right before it goes back to the shipping department right here.
And before we see some distributor truck with some advertising from other brands that we just don't really care for.
Here, I'll take you into the cooler here. This is our main beer cooler here.
Awesome. Well, this feels good in here,
Yeah,
man.
this is nice.
Dang.
So as you can see, we're kind of doing a lot of rotation out with this side. That's what a lot of that beer was.
Right.
This
So
is something that
are you guys starting canning?
we just started canning.
Just started canning.
canning.
So folks, here are some of the first cans from Flying Dog.
Out of
Right there.
we are just started canning Snake Dog, and our new Atlantic Lager Underdog are available in cans right now.
So you know what the best part about canning is, right?
What's that?
You can take them to the beach.
Oh, you can take it to the beach. You can take it to your football games. You can take it down the river.
Absolutely. So we don't have to deal with that
That
crap
recycling,
beer.
yeah.
And it's recycling. It's very
It's
green.
recyclable, and really the thing that the K cooler goes back. This is something that Flying Dog added on when we bought this building. This building was originally Frederick Brewing Company, and we're really keen on keeping our beer cold.
Didn't they do the goose?
They did a Wild Goose.
Wild Goose.
It started off as a Flying Dog, as Frederick Brewing Company, which then got bought out by Wild Goose Brewing Company.
Okay.
And then after that changed place, then Flying Dog bought both of those brands, and for the longest time, till about 2 years ago, we actually owned the rights to Wild Goose Brewing and all the recipes. But we recently sold that to a Maryland local who really loved the brewery and wants to bring back the brand. So, I mean, if you like Wild Goose, keep your eyes out because there might be more Wild Goose coming up.
Cool. Oh, the palletizer.
Yep, this is the last of kind of the tour. This is just the palletizing area.
This is your shrink wrap guy.
Yep. Well, this guy does it all. He does more than just shrink wrap.
Okay.
I specialize in shrink wrap.
So if you find your car out there wrapped in shrink wrap, you'll know it's this dude right here.
It might have been him. And then last thing we have the keg cooler, but the keg cooler is haunted, so not too many people go in there. We had a.
I am not afraid, dude.
We had a lady come up, a set of ghost hunters come up, tell us our brewery was haunted by a specter from the Monocacy battle, a sniper actually from the battle in the Monocacy River. And she really freaked out when she went in this room. She said it was a portal to somewhere.
My wife will love this.
As you can see, this is a much smaller cooler, used only for kegs. Make sure we keep the coldest product we can give you right until we get it to you. And that's about all that really goes on in here. As you can see, not that scary once you're actually inside of it. But all right, man. Let's head up, get you some more beer, and I'll answer some more questions.